Alright, let's talk about it. Being Gen Z is absolutely atrocious. Honestly, sometimes I think we were put here as an experiment. Like, let's see how much chaos, stress, and internet addiction one generation can handle before they completely lose it. And spoiler, we're this close. But here's the thing, it wasn't always like this. Growing up as a Gen Z kid, that was a golden age. Life was simple. But then, somewhere along the way, the world went to absolute shit. So today, we're breaking it all down. Why it sucks to be born as Gen Z. And to really get it, we've got to start from the beginning. Because trust me, it only gets worse the older you get. Let's take it back to childhood, shall we? If you're part of older Gen Z, I'm talking late 90s, early 2000s, you had the last great childhood. None of this iPad at age 3 bullshit. Back then, you actually went outside to have fun. You'd knock on your mate's door and ask their mum, "Is Jimmy coming out to play?" And if he wasn't home, you'd just wander around the estate looking like a weirdo until you found someone else. And being outside? Oh, it was pure chaos. You'd ride bikes that didn't even have working brakes, climb up trees that were definitely not safe, and play tag until someone tripped, fell, and cried. And then there was Manhunt. That game was basically hide and seek, but on steroids. You'd be sprinting through back gardens and jumping over fences, hiding behind sheds, and sometimes you'd accidentally end up in someone's kitchen and have to leg it before they actually called the police. And the toys we had? Absolute icons. Tamagotchis were basically your first dose of responsibility. And let's be real, we all failed. Forget to feed it for one afternoon and the screen would just show a gravestone like, "Congrats, you're a terrible parent." And Beyblades? Oh, those weren't toys. They were weapons. You'd rip one of those bad boys so hard, it'd fly out of the ring and take someone's eye out. And Pokemon cards? That was serious business. If you had a shiny Charizard, you weren't just a kid, you were a god. But trading cards? That was a battlefield. You'd be there like, "Alright, I'll trade my Machamp and my Pikachu, but only if you give me your holographic Gyarados." And if someone tried to scam you, you'd never speak to them again. Ever. And what about the telly? Saturday mornings were sacred. You'd wake up, grab a bowl of cereal, and park yourself in front of Teen Titans, Kim Possible, or even SpongeBob. Disney Channel was at its peak. You've got Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, That's So Raven, and also Nickelodeon. They gave us Drake and Josh, Fairly Odd Parents, and Avatar The Last Airbender. Pure masterpieces. Kids today, however, they're watching people play with toys on YouTube. Imagine watching someone else unbox a toy instead of just playing with it. What's next? Watching someone eat your dinner for you? Oh, wait. And if you had a Nintendo DS or a Game Boy? Oh, you were living the dream. Mario Kart DS was the ultimate friendship destroyer. You'd be winning, and then bam! Your mate hits you with a blue shell, and suddenly, you're not speaking to them for 3 days. And then there was Nintendogs. That game was adorable until you forgot to log in for a week, and your dog acted like you'd abandoned it in the woods. Guilt tripping at its finest. And of course, we can't forget the computer games. Oh my god, Club Penguin. That game was everything. You'd waddle around as your little penguin, throwing snowballs at strangers and flexing your igloo furniture like you were the Elon Musk of the Arctic. And don't lie, you definitely got banned at least once for saying something dumb like calling someone a noob or something else. And Pop Tropica? That game had us running around solving mysteries like we were detectives. You'd spend hours trying to figure out how to beat one island, only to give up and Google the walkthrough because it was too hard. And then there was Miniclip and y8.com. Oh, those websites were golden. You'd spend your entire computer lesson playing games from there while praying the teacher didn't actually catch you. Meanwhile, the school computers were so slow, if the game started lagging, you'd end up screaming at the screen in frustration. Honestly, if you didn't grow up playing these games, did you even have a childhood? These were the kinds of games that made you forget to eat, sleep, or even blink. And they were free. Can you believe that? And the phones? Absolute legends. Flip phones were indestructible. You could throw one across the playground and it'd still work. And the Nokia 3310? That wasn't just a phone, it was a weapon. You could knock someone out with it, and it'd still have battery left to call for help. But texting? That's another story. You had to press the same button 3 times just to get one letter. If you wanted to text, hey, you were pressing so much, it felt like you were hacking into MI5. But then, the internet got faster, and suddenly, everything started to change. Now, let's talk about social media. This is where everything started to go downhill. At first, it was fun. You'd post blurry selfies on Instagram with those awful cringe filters, tweet random shit like, pizza is life, which by the way no one read because no one really gave a shit, and even upload 6-second vines that made absolutely no sense but somehow got hundreds or even thousands of likes. It was chaotic, but we actually loved it. But then, Instagram decided to ruin everything. Suddenly, it wasn't about fun anymore. It was about having the perfect aesthetic. Your feed needed to look like a Pinterest board. And if it didn't, well, good luck getting any likes. Everyone was in Bali, eating avocado toast, and somehow always wearing white linen outfits that never ever got dirty. Meanwhile, I was at home eating toast because I couldn't afford butter. And then TikTok came along. What started as an app for silly dances turned into an algorithm driven monster. If you're not funny, hot, or doing some viral trend, the algorithm just throws you in the bin. You post something, stare at the view count for hours, and think, why does no one care about me? And the answer is simple, because the algorithm does not care about any of us. It's like a toxic ex. It gives you just enough attention to keep you hooked, but never enough to make you happy. And the mental toll? Absolutely brutal. Social media isn't just a part of your life anymore, it is your life. You're constantly comparing yourself to influencers who look 25 but are actually 19, own 3 businesses, and wake up at 4 a.m. for yoga. I mean, seriously, do you really believe that shit? Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to convince myself that 2 hours of sleep and a Red Bull counts as self-care. Alright, so you've made it to adulthood. Congrats, right? Wrong. Because here's the thing, everything is broken. The economy? A total shit show. Remember when they told us, go to uni, get a degree, and you'll be set for life? Yeah, that was a fucking lie. You graduate, bright eyed and hopeful, only to realize that your degree is basically a very expensive piece of wall art. And the job market is looking at you like, we need someone with 10 years of experience for this entry level position. What was I supposed to do? Start working in the fucking womb? And then there's the cost of literally everything. Rent? Yeah, let's talk about rent. You're paying £1,000 a month for a flat so small that you can cook, shower, and sleep all without leaving the same room. And don't even think about trying to buy a house. The property ladder? It's less of a ladder and more of a fucking rocket ship that no one can afford to board. The only house I'll ever own is in The Sims, and even that stresses me out because of the mortgage payments. Groceries? Oh, absolutely painful. You walk into Tesco with £20 thinking, this should be enough, and then you leave with a loaf of bread, some instant noodles, and just enough change to cry into a cup of Tesco value tea. Eggs are now £4. Yep, that's right, £4. I'm starting to think that chickens have unionized and are charging us for the emotional labor of laying them. And petrol? Don't even get me started on petrol. Filling up your tank feels like taking out a bloody mortgage. I'll put £10 in a tank and hope for the best. Like, maybe I'll make it to work and back. Maybe I won't. Who knows? And don't even ask me about public transport. One delayed train and you're late for everything. But hey, at least they'll charge you £50 for the fucking privilege. And wages? Oh, fucking wages. You work full time, get your paycheck, and immediately it's gone. Rent, bills, groceries, gone. You're left with like £12 and you're staring at it thinking, should I save this or treat myself to a coffee so I don't cry in public? Meanwhile, boomers are out here like, why don't you just save more? Save more? With what money, Barbara? Did I miss the part where I was supposed to start printing my own cash in the fucking basement? Honestly, adulthood is just a constant cycle of working, paying bills, and asking yourself, is this it? Is this my life now? And the answer is, yeah, pretty much. And as if the economy wasn't bad enough, let's sprinkle in some existential dread, shall we? Climate change? A complete disaster. The planet is literally on fire. The oceans are rising, and every summer is being described as the hottest on record. And what are we doing? We're out here with our reusable straws and tote bags, thinking we're saving the planet, while billionaires are flying private jets to their fourth holiday home. Like, yeah, Cheryl, my bamboo toothbrush is definitely going to stop the polar ice caps from melting. And then there's the news. Oh, the news. Every day, it's like, here's another crisis for you to stress about. A pandemic, political chaos, natural disasters, you name it, we've lived through it. At this point, I'm just waiting for the aliens have landed headline to pop up. Honestly, I'd welcome them. Maybe they'd abduct me and take me somewhere with breathable air and affordable housing. And don't even get me started on the pressure. It's like the whole world is looking at us, saying, Gen Z, you're the future. Fix it. Excuse me? Fix it? Mate, I can barely fix my own mental health. What do you mean fix the planet? I'm over here just trying to figure out how to live without crying every other day. But honestly, it's exhausting, isn't it? The constant fear, the pressure, the never-ending stream of bad news. It's like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, and no one ever gave us the tools to deal with it. Sometimes it feels like we're just trying to survive in a world that's actively trying to kill us. But here's the thing about Gen Z. We're tough as fuck. Yeah, life sucks, but we've learned how to adapt. We've turned memes into a coping mechanism, TikTok into a platform for education, and social media into a way to connect and build communities. We've taken the chaos we were handed and somehow made it bearable. We may not have started the big protests or movements. That credit goes to the millennials. But we've joined in and amplified them in ways no one else could. We've raised awareness, started conversations, and called out bullshit where we see it. And sure, we're doing it all while slightly unhinged. But hey, at least it's working. We're also redefining what it means to cope. We're laughing at ourselves, making memes out of the apocalypse, and finding joy in the weirdest places. Yeah, We're broke, tired, and definitely dehydrated. But we're also creative, resourceful, and determined to make things just a little bit better. At the end of the day, we're not just surviving, we're thriving in our own chaotic, caffeine fueled way. And honestly, if that isn't badass, then I don't know what is. So, yeah, being Gen Z is a wild ride. It's chaotic, it's overwhelming, and sometimes it feels downright impossible. But we're here, we're surviving, and honestly, that's enough. Anyway, let me know in the comments what's been the hardest part about being Gen Z for you. And if you're from another generation, tell us what it was like to live without Wi Fi. Was it peaceful? Or were you lot just stressed, but with fewer memes to cope? And hey, if you got spare change, feel free to send it my way, because therapy just isn't cheap. Just kidding. Unless.